Welcome to the Mixing Room.
I'm Daniel.
I'm Trent.
And we're real excited to bring you today's episode. We've got a guest with us who does incredible live performances, both with a band in the past and now as a solo artist. Good friend of ours who just moved to town recently. We've gotten to know him a little better. And we've been kind of in the spirit of live shows and different styles of live performance. And Trent and I were just reminiscing before we hopped on here about shows we've seen in the past, and I wanted to give Trent the chance to talk about. You got to see, really two cool shows recently. One particularly in the summer, and one kind of maybe just a couple weeks ago.
Depending on the kind of music you listen to, I would argue there's like 3 shows that I've gone to semi recently. When this episode comes out, it will have been several months, four or 5 months from the date of this first show that we're going to talk about. These others were more recently as well, but yeah. The biggest of those being Post Malone with Jelly Roll opening, and of course, them having at least the one song together that they sang at the show. And that was
And where did you see the show again?
This was at the Giants Stadium in Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Hershey, Pennsylvania. Who are you there with?
I was there with some high school friends. In particular, I was there with one of my buddies, Reed. He's a new Nashville resident.
Well, he'll have lived here about a month by the time this comes out.
He'll have lived here about a month by the time this comes out. As of right now, he's been here for 2 days. So that's exciting.
48 hours.
Very exciting for me. It's nice. It's always nice having old friends. To quote Ben Rector, you can't make old friends.
You just can't. So Post Malone and Jelly Roll. One epic night.
Absolutely.
A lot of tattoos.
A lot of tattoos. A lot of fake drawn on tattoos, as a lot of Post Malone fans tend to do. It's like the Pitbull thing, you got to dress up as him if you're going to go see him.
Got to dress up. I saw Pitbull twice. I never dressed up as Pitbull.
I saw
one
Pitbull
time was with
once
you, and
with
you were also not dressed up as Pitbull.
No. Spiritually, though, I got in the same space as Pitbull.
Dale.
Yeah. That show, Post Malone. Well, this is true for Pitbull as well, but so high energy. And Post Malone was special. I mean, obviously, this was for F1 Trillion promotion cycle tour, and that is a genre switch for him, which at this point has been done successfully by several artists, but it's still really cool to see happen. And Post Malone, it's so special, and the country stuff is pretty authentic to his upbringing and all that, being from Texas.
Yeah. I mean, I remember years ago we'd watch the video of him covering Brad Paisley and covering Dwight Yoakam. It was like a charity performance. And this was before he really went that country route, because that record, just came out earlier this year, late last year. So
yes,
for several years now, I think he's wanted to make this move.
And that album is different than those songs for sure. In that it's not quite Dwight Yoakam, Brad Paisley type of country. It's Jelly Roll, Morgan Wallen, country pop. Of course, with rock elements. So it is different, but nonetheless, it kind of feels right to hear him performing it. One thing that was really, really cool about that show is that the way he closed it, of course, he had some of his non-country hits in there as well. And for several of those, creating his finale, he went out to a separate stage, separate from main stage. I was going to start pantomiming, but that's not helpful for our audio listeners. So they've got main stage in the front, they've got GA, and then almost at the back of GA, they had a somewhat smaller stage.
Typically known as a B stage.
A B stage. There you go. Which for most of the show had like pretty crazy lighting and pyrotechnics and stuff. And you could almost believe that was all it was there for until that finale where he went out there. The stage actually raised up into the air. The pyrotechnics and crazy lights continued. And it was just a really phenomenal finale. High energy. So cool. And that's about where we were. So at that point, we were 25 feet away from him, which was pretty cool. Nice.
Did Jelly Roll use that stage?
He did not. That was just for Post Malone's finale.
Yeah. And then who did you see more recently now?
If we're going in chronological order, the next really cool show I went to was Big Time Rush.
Big Time Rush.
And that was at
Was that Ascend?
That was at the Ascend Amphitheater here in Nashville. Yeah, that's what that was. Thank you. And that one's a really cool one too. Our buddy, good friend of the show, Jake, hit me up and was like, dude, I got an extra ticket. We used to jam out to some Big Time Rush. What do you think? And I said, yeah, I wouldn't miss it for the world. And they did a very similar thing, except what they did with their B stage towards the back of the front section was come out and do an acoustic set for it.
Smart.
Like their main stage had trampolines and risers and big theatrics and stuff, but this B stage was four of them sitting on stools, and then they had a separate acoustic guitarist come up and sit with them and play with them, and that was it. And it was pure, beautiful guitar, pure, beautiful harmonies, really cool stuff.
See, I feel like it's hard to get like a big venue like that to embrace an intimate moment, but that's like one good way to usually do it pretty well. Is to like use that B stage, have your band come out with acoustics closer to the crowd or in the crowd, kind of sort of, so that it kind of brings people's attention in and kind of has everybody lean a little bit,
Oh, and there was
a little more, listen a little closer, and not be, constantly like talking or, getting up to the bathroom and that type of thing. Kind of engages the audience a little better. There
was a physical shift in the crowd. Many people physically got up and moved forward, and it felt like everybody was leaning forward. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the entire time they're looking through the crowd, they're pointing, they're like responding to the screaming and miming of the audience to the same degree, which was definitely special. Another show I saw recently of the same high level of production, lots of lighting and things like that, was 9 Inch Nails. That was at Bridgestone.
Very different from Big Time Rush, and still pretty different from Post Malone and Jelly Roll.
Absolutely. I mean, maybe Post Malone does industrial metal next.
But so 9 Inch Nails.
So 9 Inch Nails, Trent Reznor opens the set by coming out to this B stage and just playing piano and singing, which for an industrial metal show was
pretty different.
Incredible. It was incredible. He goes out there and he says, "Hey guys, don't forget that I'm a really good musician, a really good instrumentalist, a really good composer, And then they hit you with, well, there was a build up to it. He did a couple of songs like that. And then they hit you with the high energy, crazy lighting, strobing. They a thing that 9 Inch Nails has done for a while now, which is really, really cool, is that their main stage has these veils on all sides of it, in the front and on the sides. And they are transparent to a degree, enough so that you can see the main stage, you can see everything that's happening on it, but they project things to it during different points in the set. And they use it to contribute to the storytelling, to match the themes of the songs, and it's really special stuff. But I just thought that opening up with that intimate moment there is special. Big Time Rush creating that intimate moment at a pivotal point in their set was special. It was just some really creative uses of
who else kind of did
staging.
that too? Ryan Tedder from One Republic.
Yeah,
he had like a point in the show where he kind of brought down the vibe and basically said, here's my songwriting ability on full display.
Right.
Yeah. And then did some songs that were not One Republic songs that he had written for other people, and then went back into,
and all of them number one hits. Was that the theme of the?
Pretty sure, or at the very least top 10.
Mm-hmm.
But enough name dropping and concert dropping, because we got to get to today's guest. And what I think is so important about this is, like we said earlier, he's a great live performer, but what you've heard of him so far, if you're familiar with his work, has been with a band in a somewhat recorded, meant to be played live, in a fully, a full arrangement, a full band arrangement. And the EP that he's just put out called Wet My Stone is a little bit more like an acoustic thing that you would hear on a B stage. So he's kind of changed a little bit of his sound, a little bit of his vibe, at least for now. And I think he did a phenomenal job of it.
He really did. You'll hear a little bit in the episode about how this project really comes out of a place of following his artistry and exactly what his artistry needs in this moment, both on stage in how he's performing these songs and in what his songwriting looks like these days. Without further ado, let's bring on today's guest, Ran Albright. We've got Ran Albright here with us now. Welcome to the show, Ran.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you got it, man.
Hey, cheers to being here.
Hey, cheers, man.
Cheers. Absolutely. Oh, there we
There
go.
we
The only one I've listened to is the Adam Castilier episode, so I'm pumped.
Yeah.
Then you've heard most of the show.
Yeah, I've heard it's a
Percentage
long
of
one.
airtime.
Yeah.
Yes. Adam is a great friend of the show.
Great roommate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are living together now. It's crazy that you're both out here. We got to talk to him right before he moved.
Yeah.
So
It was sweet. I didn't really know him too well before I moved here, but now he's the man for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations on your EP, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wildly successful.
Well, we're fans.
Yeah.
We're fans.
Yeah.
And we'll dig into that in a little bit, but we want to kind of start with the beginning.
Sweet.
Kind of. So, yeah, what did music, when you started getting into it, look like for you? Like, a lot of people if people know you, they probably know you from Harvey Street, hearing you on Harvey Street stuff, right? But even before that, like, what was music like for you?
I would say, my grandma always played guitar. Like, she was a church guitarist, and my first gig I ever played was this church called the Church of the Holy Spirit, and it was like a church mainly for Nigerian immigrants in Greensboro. So that was the first time I really played, but at that time I wasn't really too into guitar. I just kind of played because guitars were always around, and it wasn't until I was about 15 that my brother came home and he made me watch the documentary Montage of Heck. If you've ever seen that?
no, I haven't.
It's all about Kurt Cobain, and it like goes through all his like journals and it like animates them, and it like goes through Kurt Cobain's whole story with Nirvana. And like, I had no idea who Nirvana or Kurt Cobain were, but I was just like enthralled with the whole thing. And then at the end of the documentary, he does that "Where did you sleep last night?" the MTV Unplugged, and it was literally like at that moment, like I went upstairs and like actually started learning songs on guitar. Like, was finding songs on Spotify and was like, oh, I'm gonna learn this, and I just like kept going nonstop. And then nothing happened for like 6 years. Like, I went to college, and I always wanted to join a band, but at NC State there was never really much of a music scene when I first started. I mean, there was like, one band.
Yeah.
It's like Friendly Reminder and then By George and all of them, but it was kind of like Will Fentress, who was the guy who got me into actually like soloing and getting really good at guitar instead of just learning songs. So then I was just obsessed with soloing, and then was just obsessed with guitar for years, was kind of just missing class and just sitting in my room playing guitar for years, just hoping something would happen, but not really putting myself out there too much. And then saw Will Fentress, like I hadn't seen him in probably a year. It was after COVID and all that, just at some random party, and say, what's up, man? What you been up to? You still playing? He's like, yeah, still doing Friendly Reminder. And conversation finally went to like, oh, like, let's get a jam together. Like, let's meet up, let's do something. And then that next Saturday, just randomly, I texted him to come over. And we jammed for like 3 hours. And he was just like, oh my God, dude, like, your playing is night and day. And I was like, thanks, man. And he just, he heads out. Like 2 weeks later, he texts me. He goes, hey, man, we have 2 Friendly Reminder gigs coming up. Baylor's going to be out. Like, do you want to sub in and play for these? And I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm losing it. Like, I'm 21. I've never been in a band before. This is like my first kind of shot at it. So he sends me the set list, and like I go and practice a couple times. And the set we're playing is about 3 hours, and the singer's going to take a break at some point, Annie. And they had The Weight and Feathered Indians on there. And I knew the lyrics for all of those songs. And I never sang in front of anyone at this point, like never in my life. Like, I'd written songs a bunch, like played guitar a bunch, but I never sang in front of anybody. And I don't know what got into me, but I was like, hey, you mind if I sing these 2 songs while she takes a break? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. And so, play the gigs, sing the songs, play like 2 or 3 shows, kind of sub in, and nothing really happens. 2 months go by, and Baylor texted me. I didn't even have his number saved. And he was like, hey, what's up, Ran? Like, was just checking in, seeing how you're doing. Like, me, Jerome, and Frank and his friend Eric, who plays keys, are thinking about starting this side project, like seeing if you're interested in joining. like seeing what you're thinking about it. I thought he wanted me to play guitar again. And I was like, yeah, man, sounds good, like sick. And he just goes, cool. How do you feel about being lead singer? I'm like, all right. So that's how, that's kind of how how everything else led up to that moment.
Really put in your 10,000 hours of practice alone before getting out there. But that pays off, man. Because then people see you, top your game.
Yeah. So I was very like ready for it. Like I was like, finally I can do something just because I was like excited to do it. Not that I'd like anything to prove, but I just wanted to play.
Yeah.
Like that was just it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sometimes you need to like hibernate, work on your craft, stay behind closed doors before you're ready to bring more in front of people. I've heard that tune from a couple different musicians and conversations on the show and otherwise. But yeah. So you had 2 gigs subbing for this other band, and then boom, you get reached out to about this new project.
Yeah.
Okay. So where does that go? How often are you guys playing when this starts? How long does it take to get that going too? Take us through that.
It was quick, like how it ended up. I mean, so when we started off, we practiced, it was all the 5 of us. I met Eric like that day at that first practice. I knew Jerome. I played with Friendly Reminder with him, and he was there. We didn't really talk that much.
Yeah.
Baylor and Frank I knew. And then, we had a couple practices, but the main thing we were doing, it was the summer of 2021. Yeah. So I was working an internship, and every single Thursday night we had basically like a residency at Lola's in Raleigh, which is like this small like beach style bar. And it was just me, Baylor, and Frank playing these acoustic sets. So Frank would bring like a mini kit, Baylor would play bass, and I'll play guitar and sing. And for someone who hasn't performed in front of anyone, that was like the perfect opportunity to get used to sitting up there for 2 hours and singing, because I never sang in front of anybody. So it got me like really comfortable. So every Thursday we were just hitting that, like all our friends were coming to go see. It's like, oh, Ran sings now, and so we're going to go check it out. And so we started playing those. We played like one random backyard show that was like all right. Like no one was really there, and it was fun. But then school comes back around, and we get one show at a birthday party because we were friends with the girls, and that was really fun. Like it was just packed, and people thought it was cool. But the next night we had the shows at Deke at NC State, and I think it was me, Baylor, and Frank. Like I had like a $100 amp, like my Telecaster. We didn't mic anything up. We just had like our 2 PAs. Like we didn't really want to do the show that bad. Like I think we were getting paid literally $100, and they gave us natural lights, like a case of those. And by far out of my entire life, that ended up being the craziest night of my life. Like it was to go from like never playing ever to like the crowd was screaming so loud that it was like piercing our ears, and we couldn't hear each other to communicate what we were going to play next. And we ended up going 2 hours over, just like replaying songs after songs after songs. And like after every song, it was just like the same reaction. And finally we just had to be like, okay, we're done. Like, we got to go.
Yeah.
And we wrapped up. And I remember it was really cool. I remember Baylor grabbed me, and he was just like, this shit is different. He's been playing since, him and Frank been playing since they were like 16 together. And he was just like, this is different. So then that starts, and like after that night, then every fraternity is trying to book us. Like we're just getting hit up nonstop. And and we don't charge anything, like, because none of us really cared at that point how much we got paid. So we were taking nothing. I mean, we'd go to Chapel Hill and play for $500 for 2 hours, and we'd just sit up there and play as long as we wanted to.
Yeah.
And and people were loving it. And then 6 months into being a band, we get a DM from Garrett Wilson from Atlas Touring. He's like, what's up, guys? Like, my name's Garrett. I'm with Atlas. Like, heard a lot about you. We got the Stews coming in about 6 months to play at Lincoln Theater. Like, do y'all want to open up for them? And we're like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
Like, we didn't, like, because at that point, we didn't, like, we were just having fun. Like, we didn't really think anything of what we were doing. We didn't
And
think
you're
anyone
getting
was
asked
paying
to play
attention.
the Lincoln, which isn't like a huge venue, but that's like, it's a huge
us,
deal to play that venue.
At that point, we didn't think we were getting close.
Right.
And so, you know, we were just playing backyards at that point. We were like, oh my God. And then, yeah, that's when I had a job lined up in Boston. Like, this was just going to be kind of my band. Like, I'm going to have fun my last year of college and then going to go off to Boston. And then I told my dad I got that show, and he was the guy initially who basically said, you know, I don't think you should go to Boston. Like,
Yeah.
I think you should stick around and probably, you know, see
where
how
this
this
goes.
goes. And then I called my brother Jake, and he said the exact same thing when I told him the news of just like, maybe just chill for a second and, you know, see how this plays out first, which is, you know, exactly what I did. And it ended up being, you know, the best decision I ever made.
Dude, yeah. And so you're playing for, you know, basically nothing, like you said. Like, you're not making any demands up front. You guys are getting the exposure, you're getting the experience. Are you it's kind of like the chicken or the egg thing. Like, are you guys creating your sound and your set around the environments you're playing in, or are the environments that you're playing in like feeding back into what becomes your set and your sound? Like, or are you guys just kind of completely doing your thing and it just happens to work really well? Like, what's that like?
Yeah, in regards to like the originals, from the jump, you know, Baylor Wordsworth, I would say, like, he is like the most talented musician I've ever met. Just, you know, he's not like a virtuoso guitar player or anything like that, but his ear and his understanding of just melody and music is just like insane. And he's been doing it for so long. So week one into being a band, he shows me Irish Goodbye, the riff, like the
Yeah.
and that's week one. And he was like, hey, let's jam to this. Like, I have a video on my phone of, it was the day after that like backyard show that no one really came to, and we were just hanging out and playing to that. And you know, and he also showed me Still. He's like, oh, I got this other idea. He just plays the chords. And then my job at that point, how it worked was, you know, he would come up with the chords, then I would go home and compose it, where I'm like, okay, this part goes here, this part goes here, and then I write all the lyrics, and then I come back and I'm like, here's the full thing. And so in regards to the environment, I'd say Irish could, like, those early songs are very college rock because all we were doing was playing fraternities.
Yeah.
And we were scared to play our originals live. We had them all on deck. We've been recording them. We're just like, I don't know. And then finally in January, this also after we got asked to open for the Stews, we had never played originals live. Like, we were just like, okay, we got to start. And then we played at some random, just like another just giant fraternity party, and we were kind of like running out of songs. And I was like, let's play Irish Goodbye. And they were like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And then people were just like, just loved it. I mean, it was sick. And like, I mean, they weren't like on their knees, like, oh my God, but like, they were like, damn, that was sick, man. Like, they all like asked about it. And, you know, like, it's not like the greatest song ever, but that was a moment where we started being like, okay, our songs are pretty good. Let's kind of hit the original stuff harder. Like, let's kind of focus more. Because I had always written songs. Jerome had always written songs. Baylor had always written songs. Frank and Eric had always been a part of that. And it's like, let's just start really making that our main focus instead of learning, you know, can't you see? Like, let's just start, you know, I think people like our sound. Let's develop it as much as we can.
So was Irish Goodbye the first original then?
Still was.
Still
Was the first one we released.
Okay.
And then Irish Goodbye was always one we just kind of toyed with, and we just procrastinated on it
Yeah.
for so long. And then that recording process just took forever. And a lot of that's on me just because it was my last year of college, and I was just, you know, we were just going out a lot and just we were pretty active, and I was, you know, having fun. And
It's a busy time.
Dude, yeah, we ran ourselves ragged that last year of college.
Yeah, and so we'd go in on Sunday, and you know, it'd be my turn to like sing vocals, and I couldn't even sing. Like, my voice was just destroyed because we'd be playing shows and then going out back then.
Yeah,
and I was like, couldn't even sing. But finally, we got it done, and we kind of forced it, like put it out. Like, I wish we would have spent more time on it, but I mean, I still think it ended up pretty well.
So how long have you been writing? Did it start with that project, or?
I mean, I'd always been like coming up with ideas since I was about 11 years old, probably. But it was never I was sitting down writing songs, but I always just played guitar. And most of what I played was just chord progressions I came up with because I didn't know how to like learn other people's songs at that point, which sounds dumb. But like I took guitar
Makes
lessons.
sense.
I didn't like guitar lessons because it was like you have to learn like Good King Wenceslas.
Yeah.
And you learn like what notes to play and you're not really learning the scale or anything. We weren't really learning songs I wanted to learn. And so I was just kind of like I would learn the chords and just would kind of play stuff that I came up with. And then, you know, I put the guitar away for a while. And then when I was 15, all through high school was kind of the same thing where just playing chords and just singing stuff, like not writing it down, but just having lyrics and having choruses and just kind of singing it. And then, you know, kind of taking it seriously even before Harvey Street, just starting to write a ton. And then when Harvey Street started was when it was like, okay, it's time to get really serious. People seem to like what we're doing. Let's like really hone in on what you're doing. That's when I start writing, you know, 3 to 4 songs a day, just like nonstop.
Yeah.
Like just nonstop writing to be like, because, you know, all these guys like Jason Isbell and Zach Bryan, they talk about is how they would just spend 4 hours just writing songs. Like, even if it's garbage, you just sit there and write it. It's like pumping out a dirty faucet and getting all the muddy water out. It's just sitting there and just getting all of it out. And then that's what kind of led to the future songs being what they were, for sure.
That's cool.
Right. Well, yeah. And so when do you first get the inclination that it's time to step away? And then when do you know for sure it's time?
I'd always kind of, you know, like I said, Harvey Street just kind of, you know, took off and we didn't really know what to do about it, but I loved it so much. And, you know, we all worked super well together, but, you know, we definitely had disagreements, even in the initial group with Baylor and Frank, of like, you know, where did we want to take this? Because at that point, Atlas, I had gone down to Charleston for New Year's and they were kind of like, you know, if you want to go on tour, we can book you a tour. And at that point, we weren't really sure what we wanted to do. Yeah. So it was kind of like this weird area where I was like, you know, I don't know if I want to do this. Like maybe, you know, I should start doing something else. But it wasn't because I didn't like Harvey Street or anything. Because it was like we were just in such a limbo. But eventually I was like, no, I love this band. Like, let's try to make this happen. And then finally, you know, we decided about 2 years into being a band, we said, hey, let's go on tour. And at that point, you know, I had quit my job to just dedicate myself fully to music. And that's, like I said, I was writing songs all day, every day. Like, I was just waking up, writing songs, doing all that. And then we go on tour. Josh and Jackson join. They're incredible additions. They're both 2 of the most talented musicians I know. They're both super good, and they're great additions. And I'd say, you know, I was never like trying to go on my own. There was never like an intention of mine really for a long time. Because I was always like, this is my band, this is my thing. And but a big thing was I wasn't too confident in my ability as a songwriter. And I'd say when that Great Escape EP came out, because that's when I wrote, like, at least came up with the ideas for all of those songs, like Free Myself, Another Bad Year, all Cheapskate, like all those songs. And then, you know, Baylor was Beautiful Morning, and we did that together. And then, you know, to see Free Myself do what it did was kind of being like, all right, well, I'm pretty good at writing songs. Like, that was kind of after that whole writing session, but I still didn't want to like leave Harvey Street. But my writing itself started to just go a different direction to where the songs would not fit with Harvey Street. And they may fit with them, but it would just turn into a completely different thing, which could be better or worse. But it felt like I wasn't being as creative as I could be. And that sounds like a pretty, you know, simple reason why you would leave a band. But it truly was, you know, I was just kind of ready to try something different. And, you know, since I quit the band, all I've gotten is DMs from people being like, what's the beef? Like, why do you hate these guys? And like, they get DMs. Like Eric told me the other day, like they get DMs like, I'm the biggest fan. Like, what's the beef? And the truth is there's no beef. Like, there wasn't like,
right.
It wasn't, granted, you know, we had our fair share of arguments. Like, you know, we had a big one last summer that we eventually resolved. And
Well, you also got all your shit stolen.
yeah, we also got robbed.
There's a lot going on there.
And I'm sure that certainly doesn't subtract from any tensions.
Yeah, and it was just very much so. I was just very, even the robbery, I was conflicted of like, what am I going to do with this? And we kind of had a deal because I kind of expressed this to them, like, hey, I have this stuff I think I want to work on, maybe do some shows on my own. And they were like, like that's cool with us. Well, let's try to figure that out. And then the more I thought about it, it was, if I'm going to put out songs under my own name and be the songwriter for Harvey Street, I had a pretty good feeling that my inclination was to be to save all the good songs, all the songs that I thought were best for myself.
Yeah.
And then for Harvey Street was like, this is what I have left. And then once I realized that, I'm like, that's not fair to them. That's not fair to me. I'm holding them back. It's like if they're just going to sit around and wait for me, that's not cool. I need to figure out what I want to do. It's hard. It was an extremely hard decision because I had to walk away from everything we had done. Because, by the time I was out, had decided I quit, the shows after that were our craziest ones. We did Sold Out Georgia Theater with the Stews, Jefferson Theater, the Senate, Lincoln Theater again with the Stews, the Comeback. And then we did the Windjammer, and then we did Shower Cap. And it was that much harder, after saying I quit, to do all those shows. But it was just such a good farewell. And, we're all still best friends. But, it was just kind of time to just do something else, truthfully. Not even just in music, but life in general.
Mm-hmm. Well, all right. Let's talk a little bit about Wet My Stone, because this is a phenomenal EP that you've put out.
Thank you, man.
3 songs, but you pack a lot of emotion and energy in them. This EP was preceded by 3 singles, actually, none of which appear on the EP, which is totally fine, but it's just a lot of artists put out singles and then make an EP that's basically just a package of those singles. Clearly, you wanted to do something different with this EP. So why an EP? Why all unreleased tracks? And why now?
I just had those songs on deck, and it wasn't a ton of foresight into it. It wasn't a bunch of playing this is what's about to go down. This is this. It was just kind of what? I just want to go, because the first 3 singles was an intense recording process. I went all the way down to Florida with Rick Grice, and he's the guy who did Flip Turn's first EP.
Yeah.
And, I paid and I had 13 Moons off of my head and Restless Flow, which I was like, what? I just really want to just get some songs recorded. I've had these songs under my belt for a long time. And, studio drummer, pedal steel player, someone's playing bass, I'm playing all the guitars. I'm playing piano. We're going all night till 5 a.m. And I love how those songs ended up. I think it's a very dark country vibe I think it ended up with, which I didn't intend, but I did like it. And with this EP, it was just, I like putting music out. I like being in the studio, and I never done anything like that, anything acoustic. And at that time, I was playing a bunch of just solo acoustic shows. And people, for some reason, I noticed I was getting more followers from playing those shows than full band shows. So I was like, I'm not particularly too interested in solo acoustic. This isn't what I want to be my thing, but maybe there's just this subgenre of people who just like that kind of music. Mm-hmm. And, so I had Wet My Stone that I've just always been playing for a while. And then Girl from North Country was just a cover I always wanted to do. And then initially I was going to do Off in My Head, and then I sat down in the studio, and then I was like, I'm going to do Leaving Eden, which is a song that just wasn't out yet, because I was going to wait until the studio one was out, but it is what it is. I also wanted to do Off in My Head because some guy on Instagram commented on a video of me playing an acoustic and said, this one is so much better than what you have on Spotify. I was like, damn. I was like, damn, dude. But then so I was like, maybe I'll just do that. Then I was like, fuck that guy. I'm just going to do my own. I'm going to do another one.
That's constructive and destructive criticism.
Yeah, I was like, I don't get you. I was like,
so the project makes sense for where you're at right now as an artist, what's working for you in your shows currently and things like that. Did the production process change as a result of some of these things too? And how was that different than the singles?
I mean, this one was just, I went to Cole Covington's studio in Winston-Salem, and he's a good buddy of mine, and just mic'd up the guitar, vocal mic, and I just played the songs a couple times, and then we just kept the one we liked best for each one.
Gotcha.
And just kind of, it was pretty quick. I was like, I don't want to take too long on this. I had a show that night. So I was like, let's just, let's get through this. Like, if they're good, they're good. It's like, it's hard to, an acoustic track like that.
So those are like raw tracks.
So those are all one takes? Like not one take, but like the takes themselves are
there might be a couple things chopped up here and there.
Okay.
But for the most part, they're pretty raw takes.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. But I just, it's just like with what I'm doing now, it's just, I still care about what I'm doing, but it's way more like stop overthinking it. Just
do it.
It's way more like stop being so worried about, the reaction you're going to get and just be like, just make something you think is cool. Mm-hmm. And then, if it doesn't work out, it's like at least you have something that you're like, I'm glad I made that. Like, I'm glad I made that the way I wanted to make it, for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's a cool way to do that production too. I mean, because we know from a technical standpoint, like if you mic up the guitar and the vocal at the same time, like you're going to have bleed. Like, so you can't overproduce either of those.
No, you can't.
You can't put effects on it.
Apparently now, Cole, you can use like AI to basically separate them, and it's pretty crazy. Cole showed me.
What?
Yeah, it's not like to basically stop it from blending in. It's pretty insane.
Who did you say you recorded those with, and who produced these ones?
Cole Covington produced those.
Awesome.
Produced "Wet My Stone."
Gotcha.
And he produced my new song that's coming out on Friday. Called Countenance.
That'll be out by the time this airs. Yeah. You should stream that.
So that'll be Friday. Shucks, when are my dates here? The 26th. The 26th? September 26th.
I forgot it was
26th.
That's also is with Cole, and that's like full band,
cool.
like
nice.
drummer, everything. That was just like a fun pop song, honestly, that just like I just wanted to do. It's pretty different from what I've done so far, but it was just fun to make. Like Cole's the man. He's such a good producer, and he's just very easy to work with. And again, it's just like making something I thought was cool instead of just being like, this one has to be huge.
Yeah.
Well, and that gets a little bit into, I think, what I want to talk about here, which, okay, lyrically, we talked a little bit about production. Let's talk lyrics for a minute. The title track is pretty self-explanatory, I think, in what message it's trying to convey. So is Leaving Eden, but sandwiched in the middle of those two is Girl from the North Country. Why? What makes you choose a cover for the middle of this EP, and like why that one?
Oh, I thought you were about to be like, how did you write those lyrics?
No,
it's not me.
I know you didn't.
I don't know. I've always just liked. I love that song. Like just that recording of him finger picking, and just something about it is just so like raw, and the content's like very. It's to me, it's like kind of dark. It's just like this guy who's just frustrated, and he's like, damn. And it's just this for some. It's only like 3 chords, and it's just that Bob Dylan thing, that freewheeling Bob Dylan stuff, where and I thought about a bunch of different covers that I would do for this, but for some reason that one kind of stuck. Like I saw the movie, and he plays, Timothy Chalamet plays it in what's his name's house, and I was like, damn, I forgot about that song. Like, because I used to listen to it all the time, and then I just played it the way I did, like where I just kind of like slammed on the chords and just made it raspy, and threw the guitar solo on that. That was also just like a last minute fun decision where I was like,
cool.
I was like, give me the Strat. I'm gonna throw solo, and then I mean, there's no particular reason. It was just kind of spur of the moment. Like I just want to cover it. It was no deep meaning behind choosing it. I just wanted to do it.
Hey, and that works, and it works great. And I gotta say, like like you said, you threw the solo on, like last minute, but like it is a very stripped back EP, right? But the vocals, man, your vocals are so strong. This is not a stripped back vocal, especially Leaving Eden. Like you are belting, and like it hits. Like what emotion or what inspiration when you're writing brings that kind of vocal out of you? Because you could have said, I'm doing an acoustic EP. I'm going to keep it kind of low key and mellow, but you're putting it all out there.
I don't know. It's never like in any. I mean, if we even go into Harvey Street, like Free Myself on Belting and all these other songs, it's like I'm never singing that hard because of the lyrics. I love melody and chords so much. And it's like when you find that thing that works, and like luckily I have a voice where I can belt like that, and it's like when I can just, it just feels good, and it does, it makes the song sound better. And I love, and it's like, I do love the lyrics, don't get me wrong. It's like, I wrote it for a reason. And
Yeah.
but I'd say what really drives me to kind of sing that hard is just the feeling I get from it and the melody, because I just love the sound of it. Not like I love the sound of my own voice, because I really don't. Because people say I have a good voice, and I listen to it, and I can't.
If
hear
this
it.
episode has the most streams, it's because he listened to it over and over to hear.
Yeah, it's definitely me. But I don't know, man. I don't know how to explain it. It feels good to sing like that, and I just like doing it.
Yeah.
Well, it turned out great.
Absolutely. Do you have a favorite off of this project, or even anything from your solo stuff so far?
I think 13 Moons has got to by far be my favorite. I think would I have recorded differently? Probably. I think I rushed it, and it has nothing to do with anybody but myself. But I recently had played it with Chamencroft and Tyler Ford and Ethan Johnson, who were all in By George, and they played with me at a gig in Charlotte, and Chaman was like, 13 Moons is my favorite song. Like, he was just like, that song is so, and he was just ripping on the drums, like just did, and it was one of those moments where I was like, probably should have been a little more patient with that one. Like, I was like, I think I should have done it with the fellas, and that has nothing to do with Rick Grice and those guys down there in Florida. It was just, I think the pedal steel was great on that, what we did down there.
Yeah.
But I really love that song, and it's just long. I've just made it exactly how I wanted to make it, but off that EP itself, I'd say Wet My Stone. It's just one where it's fun to just kind of do that fun hand placement and just play those little notes. It's just, I love that song.
Yeah. I can certainly hear, you mentioned earlier Zach Bryan and Jason Isbell, and I can hear that influence very much.
Oh, nice.
On this EP.
Yeah, and even the Bob Dylan there is a little bit of a darkness to Bob Dylan, like you mentioned, and Jason Isbell, and a lot of those guys. So,
Yeah.
For sure. Well, now we've got a little bit of a fun segment, as we've been doing in our past few episodes. We've been asking people at home to send in fan questions the day of the taping, and so we happen to have some of those here. Here, I'll let you pick.
All right, so this one's about your writing process, which you gave us a little bit of a look into earlier, but maybe you can tell us a little more. How has your writing process evolved over the years? You seem to have gotten more introspective.
How it's evolved? I've always kind of, like I mentioned prior, I say initially I was just writing just as many songs as I could whenever I had the time to do it. And like when I quit my job, it was just all I was doing was writing songs. And I still kind of do that. But again, sometimes I think that can almost be an excuse to not sit down and come up with something good. Because you just be like, oh, I'm just going to write bad songs. It's like, hey, why don't you just chill for a second and like try to come up with something good? But you can't really come up with stuff good. It just kind of lands on you when you least expect it. And I don't know, man. Now it's like I haven't written anything in a while. I've kind of stepped away. This is the longest I've gone without writing anything new in probably 4 years. And, I'm just kind of taking a step back just because I was kind of didn't feel like it was as good and kind of needed to, live life a little bit and kind of let whatever happens, pick up the guitar when I want to instead of kind of making myself pick it up, which is what I was doing for a while just to like, because I'm very disciplined about it. I'm just like, I have to write, and just sort of removing that voice and just being a little more free of like, you can write if you want to, at least for now. Like, I'm sure I'll get back into a routine again, but overall, I mean, it hasn't really changed that much. I still, I'll make sure to write like one bad song a day. And then most of the time, it's just spending time with the guitar and just having it in your hands just for watch TV with an unplugged electric and just fuck around with it. And just, that's how I wrote Shotgun, Another Bad Year, and all those songs. Just kind of half paying attention and just always having a guitar in my hands. And then, you find chords you like, and then melody starts striking, you start singing something, and then sort of just gets pieced together. Like lyrically, I'd say it's always been the same way, where I sing one line and it just kind of pops out of the ether, and then the entire song is built off that one line. Like Free Myself was like, say goodbye to me and get high with me. I know your mama don't need you home. That was the first line. And then everything else is built off that. So that's how it's always just kind of been for me. And truly hasn't really changed that much.
Yeah.
If it's any more introspective, it's just because I guess I'm just getting older. Life sucks.
How many songs do you think you have that will never be released, that never need to be released, that never meant to be?
Hundreds. Yeah. Probably over 1,000 at this point. I mean, just a ton. Just in notebooks and on my phone and on my laptop, just all written out, but I'll just never touch them.
A bad song a day over years and years adds up, I guess, huh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's like 365 bad songs a year. But all right, let's get you another fan question. And this is another one that we almost kind of touched on earlier. Why did you choose Girl from the North Country and not Don't Think Twice, It's All Right, which is covered way more by folk and country artists? We kind of got to that earlier. But
did Adam ask that question?
No.
No. I think he asked me that the other day. I don't know. It's just like that song is. I like Girl from North Country. I wasn't like, let me choose the best Bob Dylan song, and I chose the one I like to do.
Yeah.
You know, I just like, it's like the same thing with my Instagram. Every song I'm posting is not like, oh, this is going to go ham. It's just like, I like this song. I'm going to post a video of me singing it, or I do an original. It's the same thing with Girl from North Country. I just like that song. Yeah. Like, that's just why I did it. Just straight up. I wish I could give you this long, poetic thing about driving around and that song coming on and I'm sad, but it's like I just like the song and I wanted to cover it.
And that worked. Speaking of your Instagram, where can people find you on social media? Because we got to get to that at some point. We want to make sure people can.
Instagram, Ran Albright, no spaces, RAN Albright, Rain Albright. Same thing on TikTok, and I have music on Spotify under the name Ran Albright. And that's where you can find me.
You better find him there, folks. All right, we got one more question to wrap up. Did you want to read it?
Nah, you got it.
Okay.
Sometimes I forget the social media handles and stuff, but yours are really straightforward.
Yeah.
we appreciate that.
Easy to keep in mind. This question asks, can you ask him to pick up some eggs on the way home? And that was from
Adam
from Dugout Entertainment.
Damn. He needs to get eggs, piece of shit. He's eating all mine.
If you want to see pound for pound the best promoter in
Nashville,
the Triangle, and now Nashville, go check out our episode with Adam Castiller from Dugout Entertainment.
Well, all right. As we wrap up here, let me just ask you one more question that we like to ask some of our guests. What are you listening to when you're not listening to
my own self?
Your own voice.
Very rarely am I doing that. No, I mean, I'm huge on Sturgill Simpson right now, Red Clay Strays, but I just saw Spacey Jane on a whim, and I'm really into them. I'm all over the place, man. I just, if a song is good, I just listen to it over and over, and that's such a stupid answer. But Sturgill's always been the big guy for the past year. He was honestly a big inspiration for my decision to kind of go do my own thing, 'cause he's very much so this guy who he put out his first album when he was 34. And every album has been something he wanted to do, whether it's country or bluegrass or rock. He's always done his own thing, which I always thought was sick. And so that's a big reason why I think the dude is cool.
Yeah. Well, hey, those are great answers. And we'll be excited to hear all that you have in store. We'll be excited to hear your single when it comes out on Friday. Your latest single,
Friday.
Which is out now. Yeah, Friday that's the past. That's the past. We're in the past. You're in the future at home. That's out now. So go stream that. We'll link it in the description of this episode. Ran, thanks so much for being here, dude.
Thank you for having me on here. This is sick.
And that concludes our conversation with Ran Albright.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for tuning in today. If you like what you have heard, go ahead and rate us on Spotify. Go ahead and leave a review while you're there as well. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe on our YouTube channel. You know where else to find us. You can find us on TikTok and Instagram as well.
At Mixing Room Podcast. Follow us there. Look for more content there. You can check the link in our bio on both of those platforms to support us. If you like what you saw today, you can buy us a coffee. A little goes a long way.
Make sure you guys check out Ran Albright on Instagram and TikTok and Spotify as well. You can find him at Ran Albright at all of those places.
Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you next time. Till then, I'm Daniel.
I'm Trent. See ya.